This is the first one where I haven't really... I feel like I'm only tasting the hot.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? For Guild Ball Chicago, I'm Vincent Curkov, and you're watching Strictly the Worst. It's the show with hot strats and even hotter wings. With me today is Alex Botts, your world champion, and Pat Van Velze, known for such feats of value as doing 5 kickoffs for $20. Right? Welcome to the show.
Thanks. I'm happy to be here.
Excited to be back as a guest on the show.
Yeah.
How are you guys with spicy food?
I think I'm great, but now, after watching my roommate eat these, I'm worried that I'm going to be exposed as actually a wimp.
Yeah, I think I'm okay. I'm not going to say great, but, it could be a lot worse.
Personally, I used to be great with spicy food, and that was a long time ago, and I've wimped out since. So this is a Hot Ones parody, in case anyone hasn't picked that up yet. What we're going to do is we're going to review the Falconers Guild. And we're going to go through each hot sauce, escalating. We're going to eat one wing with each one, talk about one member of the Falconers Guild for each one.
Mm.
All right? So with that, we're going to dive right in.
This one is predictably not so bad.
Mm-hmm. This is your mulligan.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so we're supposed to talk about Devana.
Yeah, she's pretty good.
Yeah, so it's hard to... I don't know, when we were planning this out, we had to choose the order in which we were going to talk about models.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of hard to talk about Falconers without Devana, but it's also kind of hard to talk about Devana first. Because she's such a central player of the guild in every way. I don't know, so she clearly does a lot of damage. I think that's the way that people responded to her when she came out. Is that properly set up, or even kind of partially set up, she does a gajillion damage. I think that she's strong, and I think that threat ranges to the extent that she brings, 11 inches on the jog with death from above, or 14 inches on a sprint, is really strong. But she really does not do much at the start of a turn, which is important. Even with just assist, she can fail to do stuff you might expect from somebody else benefiting from assist. She's definitely not comparable to Honor with just assist. If they both just have their assist.
Yeah, because Honor is one tack higher, and her money's in the same spot. No, her money's it's one lower, right?
It's one lower, and I think she just has a better book in general. She just an unbuffed better book. She just does more with her playbook than Devana does. And then I guess the other thing that sticks out to me is that her legendary is nuts.
Yeah, her legendary is absolutely insane. People have talked about it's Midas's legendary with slammed with Fille's legendary, but they're both unconditional.
Yeah, it's Fille's legendary that applies snared. And
that's what Midas's legendary does.
Well, okay, I see what you're saying. But
yeah, but she doesn't have to...
Yeah,
she doesn't have to kick a goal, and they don't have to be bleeding.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, I mean, there's very niche things. Her legendary is actually susceptible to Tough Hide, because it's a play that isn't labeled as condition damage. So it actually only does 2 damage to Tough Hide.
It's the first one of those, I think.
Yeah, I think that's the first legendary play that gets affected by Tough Hide. But even so, it's incredibly strong. And I think that I've played a few Falconers games now, and I'm probably going to be referencing my experience with them throughout the cast. But whether you have a good game with them feels to me really reliant on using her legendary. And it's tempting to use her legendary as just I do it right before I start hitting stuff to make sure I kill this one model. But I actually don't think that's enough. I think you really have to be angling for getting most of their team.
Okay.
And setting up other kills later in the turn or next turn or whatever.
I also think that you're going to put her in these situations where you're trying to hit 3 models with her legendary, right? And that's just going to really compromise her survivability really hard.
Sure.
Because unlike other captains, she doesn't have other protection things. She's very Ox in that way, where it's just her raw damage output is the thing that's preventing you from killing her. Is that if you come over here and try to kill me, you're dead.
Right.
Yeah.
But if you come over here and succeed, you're not.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah, and she's like target enemy number one, public enemy number one for any opponent. And then she's also like, I don't know, she's the most survivable on the team. We'll get to this as we get deeper into the team. That's not really saying much.
No,
like, I
really
mean,
not.
4-1, 16 boxes is above average for a squatty, but like not great for a captain. When she doesn't have anything else, like she doesn't even have 2-inch melee.
She's no reach, counterattack's pretty weak.
Nothing like Shadow Like or Unpredictable.
Tech 5 double push on 3 is...
It's okay.
It's
okay.
I don't think it's very good. With
It's
1-inch
not very
melee,
good.
it would be
Like-
like more exciting if it was 2-inch melee.
If it was 2-inch...
It's see, this is hard for me because like there are some models that just like straight don't have one. Like hers is not good, but it.
Yeah, it's not good, but for a captain,
sort
it's
of
pretty
exists.
actively bad.
The other offensive angle for her, though, which is exciting to me, and it's something that I think after playing Falconers for a little bit, I'm realizing they need to rely on more than I expected looking at her. I thought she was just going to be like a nuke. Like she's just like walking around nuking people at the end of each turn. But she picks up and controls the ball in interesting ways. Her tackle's on 4, which isn't very good, but it's momentous, which is pretty nice, and it gets pretty good with Death from Above. And in particular, she preys on specifically models that have like defensive tech that normally don't let them lose the ball, but don't have great defenses. I'm thinking of Mash, for example, here. Because Mash is a 3-1 model, but he's got 2-inch melee unpredictable. So normally you think of him as like a really good ball holder.
Yeah.
But she gets around that pretty easily if she can Death from Above people. And so there's like her ability to do that and then move the ball a huge distance with airmail is really nice for setting up Ikaros or even other models in the guilds to like quickly get a goal without too much commitment.
Yeah, and I also think if you don't, the thing that is really strikes me as her is it's hard to prevent her from ever getting any work done in the turn without just killing her and preventing her from activating.
She definitely, it's really hard to fully invalidate her unless she dies. Yeah, I definitely agree with that.
Yeah, I've only played 2 games against her, but every time it's felt like there's nothing I can really do to stop her from doing her thing, other than, I guess, making some of the setup a little awkward in terms of just like the order of it.
Definitely,
But I can't stop her, right? She's going to get to make those 3 attack terriers. Like, as long as you have 1 momentum to move an AoE.
Yeah, I think it's... I think what is important, and you did successfully do that in the games against me, is making sure that she can't, like, both make normal attacks and Death from Above attacks on the same target. Because, like, actually the dream for her is not really to, like, move an AoE and attack 3 times with last light. That's, like, something she can do, and that's fine. But really what she would like to do with 5 influence is make 2 or 3 normal attacks and then under a Harrier, and then have her last 2 attacks be Death from Above attacks. That is what would like really just blow up a model. And it's also Death from Above makes her like not super susceptible to counterattacks when she gets into melee with you, because if you push her out or dodge out, she can use a Harrier to push you back in or something like that. So, but like preventing her from doing specifically that, I think, is a win, even if she literally gets to make a couple attacks at the end of her activation.
Okay.
Yeah, because if you can force her to spend the Harrier AoE on you to be able to spend her influence,
Right.
you're invalidating a lot of her efficiency.
Yeah, then it just basically means that she can charge a few times and you can't defensive stance, which is good. It's definitely good, but it's like compared to the amount of setup that went into that, because other people have to make attacks or they have to pay for Harriers or whatever the hell they did.
2 influence on a Harrier.
Then it's like, and then she has to spend another 2 to make the quote unquote charge. Then it's getting into dangerously inefficient territory.
Yeah, I might be jumping ahead by saying this, but it did feel like, as scary as her attacks were, you had to be doing other stuff with the team for them to do well.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, they're really strong attacks, but they're not... If you only make 3 attacks on the turn, that's not enough.
Yeah, and I think we're going to revisit this later or multiple times throughout the episode, but this guild and the one released right before it both feel like weird Rube Goldberg machines. And that seems to be... I would posit a guess that this is how minor guilds are going to go, is that setting up... like putting a lot of setup and then having really crazy stuff happen is going to be like what they look to do.
Okay.
Or what's going to be, maybe not what they look to do competitively, but what's going to be really fun about them.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
I don't know. I think that's most of what we can say about Devana without getting into the bigger parts of the guild. Is there anything else you guys want to do specifically about her card? Excuse me.
I think the tackle being on 4 is interesting. Steamforged seems committed to the fact that tackling from ranged is a hard thing to do.
Yeah, when you compare it to like the other hotshot models, like Mataagi, as we'll see, but also Cinder, it's really only Fish that can like quote unquote tackle
from
far away with like Siren and Corsair.
Yeah.
So those are like the only people that can really like consistently do that, and that makes sense because they're the guild that is the ball. So.
There's, I guess, one thing that I will say I underestimated until I played against it. The size of the area threatened by Hackback plus Frelsi, just the 6-inch circle from the bird.
Oh yeah,
way bigger than you think, or than I expected. Partially because it's the bird, not Devana, so the bird can be kind of aggressive, or more so than Devana, right? It's only worth 1 point.
Yeah.
And it's like a big thing you have to worry about in a way that sort of similar how you have to worry about marbles with honor, but it's in a way more flexible way. Because instead
she doesn't have to spend 2 to quick time it,
and that's only 2 inches versus 5 for the bird.
Yeah, right.
So she threatens a large area with assist.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I think the other thing a lot of people, when they first read her card, are underestimating how far Deadly Wings actually moves AoEs, because they move smoke style, where they flip over. So it's if you're within 7 of a Harrier AoE, she can spend 1 to put you in that AoE.
I think that is important that it's that long range, just because of how much of the guild is like committed to that.
Yeah,
idea.
well, it's also like that's 3 influence they spent to put you in that AoE,
Right. Yeah.
or 2 if they hit it on the books. But
Yeah.
Sure.
you guys good to move on?
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
All right.
So what's our next one? It's Black Rose.
Yep.
Cool. Oh, maybe I'm just like used to it now, but the second one actually felt slightly less hot than the first one. Neither of them were particularly bad, but
Well, yeah. I mean, these are both pretty easy as far as the setting goes. I also picked all of these. None of these are gross.
well, no, I appreciate that. I mean, I'm not. These both tasted good. I would eat both of these. Like, buy these and use them.
The other thing you have to keep in mind is some of these hot sauces are sneakier.
Yeah, this is like a slower burn for sure.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, so Frelsi
Yeah. Means something in some other language.
means freedom in a different language.
Icelandic or I don't even know. So high hit point mascot,
Yep.
right?
Yeah, I guess that's true.
Below average defensive stance.
Yeah. Would we call this mascot unusually tanky, or like basically in line, or what? Compared to other mascots, obviously, not compared to.
Feels like a farmer's mascot.
Yeah, it does in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Actually, which is weird because the farmers' mascots are on the more survivable side of mascots in general
And I guess in
that
this
aren't
one,
like Naja.
it's actually even more so because it has Love Creature.
Yeah, Love Creature is
Yeah. How many boxes does Buckwheat have, actually? I don't even know.
9.
Okay. So, yeah.
I'm fairly certain. I can double check.
A pretty tanky mascot.
Yeah.
It's not Wrecker, but, you know.
Buckwheat does have 9.
Okay. So, I don't mean to be, like, reductive, but I think this is mostly a mascot to enable Devana.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, it's sort of interesting. I actually think it should be used more. It's just sort of... It's hard to pay influence to Frelsi when you're running a guild that needs to use so many character plays elsewhere. Because it can take 3 influence, and it charges 9, and it has a 3/4 kick. Like, that's not like...
Yeah. No,
It's good for recovering the ball in turn 1, which is nice. And then it's also... It's like not...
It's amazing at recovering the ball in turn 1.
Yeah. And then it's also, like, good at goals for a mascot.
Yeah,
Like,
no, it is.
3-die tap-in is sweet.
Its goal range is not quite salt level, but it's up there.
Yeah, exactly. And it also has that snare character play on the first column, which I feel like I should try to use. And this card would be sick with Sikkim, by the way.
Yeah, if Sikkim was still in the game for sure.
But in context, in practice, I agree. You're basically right. It's just like it's like Devana's arm, sort of.
Yeah, and I think it's going to get away with kind of running in your lines to a certain extent because of the fear of Love Creature.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely.
and that it's 10 hit points, so it's an active effort to kill.
Yeah, I definitely think it's... Oh, sorry.
Okay. I mean...
Depends on your guild. Like, now, if your brewer's hitting it with... Like, almost any brewer hitting it under Commanding Aura, right, is going to mess it up.
Yeah.
Like, don't get me wrong. But guilds like Alchemists or Fish, or the ones that have to put, like, concerted effort into actually...
Yeah, like engineers in Melee would probably not want to ever commit to killing it.
I guess maybe I am too optimistic about killing it, but I think like if they against engineers, if they ever put Frelsi on a model and Ballista hasn't activated, I think he just kills it.
Well, no, I think he can. It's just
But I think that's a fine trade. Like without that, Devana is not going to kill Ballista.
I guess, but she can still put some serious hurt on other people in the field.
Can. Yeah, but like I don't know. I think he's the key to her like straight removing a model.
Yeah, that's true.
Because that's where the extra damage comes from.
Yeah.
It's like they're tooled up or whatever.
I think Chris Schlegel was predicting that basically every game would be like fighting over killing the bird, and I haven't experienced that yet, but we're pretty.
Yeah, we're
not super deep into the game guild yet. I can see that happening. I don't know. Yeah, I agree. There's not a ton to say about it. Its most important rules are assist on Devana. It's 5 jog and love creature.
Yep.
And that goal range is interesting with airmail.
Yeah, that's sort of what's cool.
like
about
it can be a million miles away.
Yeah, if you have a situation where you like can't set up the bird on somebody, you can get it 13 inches from the goal, have Devana go first and do whatever she has to do, and just airmail it to the bird.
Yeah.
It's also really good for killing ball, I guess. But
Steamforged definitely succeeded in making mascots more active. This is like a crucial part of every turn for falconers, for sure. Even if it gets no influence and just moves, that's still like...
Which I think is pretty cool and on flavor.
Yeah, definitely. She should be sending her bird around and killing stuff with it.
yeah, that's good. I like it.
Moving on.
Sure.
Sure.
What did you call it? Sneakier? I guess that's the point, right?
I think this one isn't sneaky, but
Really?
I think it's fairly heat forward.
Yeah, okay. It's pretty hot. It was pretty hot. This is still in the realm of I would buy this willingly, though.
Yeah, so far I'm enjoying this.
Nice.
But this is like, I don't want to eat 10 of these.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I want like one of these every 4th or 5th.
All right, the sweat's starting.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, okay. All right.
All right, now we're on Ikaros.
Ikaros.
Or Icarus, or...
What? No, not
Ikaros. It's just like a...
It's like Icarus, but pronounced wrong?
I don't know if it's pronounced wrong, or I don't know enough about Greek to know if it's pronounced wrong, or if it's just a different like version of the transliteration. But
Okay.
I haven't asked anybody in Steamforged or Greece.
All right. I want to start off by talking about the complaints that everybody has where they think this is out of theme or out of nowhere for Guild Ball. There are sentient clockwork robots. I think a guy with a wingsuit is not out of the realm.
Yeah, I totally agree.
A better argument I've heard is that they don't think it fits with the rest of the falconers.
Okay.
But he's not a falconer; he's a falcon.
Right. The way I think of it is he's like they're in the jungle and he's the like explorer with his little like goofy hat or whatever. You know, like those English explorers, like in Paddington, like the English explorer that comes to
Paddington, but yeah.
I should see Paddington.
This is hot.
Dude, the tip of my
Why
tongue
is
is
this
like
so
picked
hot?
up. Yeah.
Okay.
This is
you guys okay?
Yeah, we're doing
okay.
it.
But I think with that he's pretty on there.
He's got a moment's tackle in one.
Yeah, he's like a good striker. Like in terms of 1-inch melee strikers, he's good.
He's good. He's not the best. He's like third or fourth best 1-inch melee strikers. But he's
Okay,
he's-
give me that list.
Velocity,
So, Velocity, Flint are above him.
Oh, okay.
and then
I forgot about Flint.
do we count alloy? We don't count alloy. That's a dumb joke.
Yeah.
If you said Velocity, Flint, Friday, this guy had
Yeah, Friday.
follow
Yeah,
that.
it's Friday.
And Friday's up there too. It's like, I think
above
he's in
the
discussion for
Okay.
he's in discussion for third with Friday. I think if somebody told
We're not
me,
counting Captain Strikers.
yes, correct, squatties.
Okay, yeah, sure, sold.
Right. So he doesn't have like the thing. He has like a pseudo version of each of the things you need a 1-inch striker to have to be good.
Okay.
So like when you talk about good 1-inch strikers, they typically have a buyable dodge,
Yeah.
and then they have some sort of thing that defends them or defends the ball on them. So you like Velocity Flint have close control. Friday is arguably hard to lock down with her Shadow-like, and then
And just high defense.
and just like the protected thing. And then he doesn't have a buyable dodge, but he does have a free extra jog, or a buyable jog instead, which is like a poor man's version of that.
Yeah.
And while it might not be obvious with how much we've talked about the guild so far, they are not a ball-heavy guild.
Really, I actually disagree with that. I
Really?
think, I think they need to be. I think the paper, like, I think they're sort of like fillet butchers in that they're not like when you look at them or hear their pitch, they don't look like people who would be like striking all the time. But I think that Fillet wins games most of the time when she gets two goals. Excuse me. And I don't know that I think that Falconers will always be going for 2 goals, but I think they'll really almost never win without 1 goal.
I do think they are a 4-1 guild.
Yeah,
Like
maybe,
pretty solidly 4-1, and every 4-1 guild can play a 2-2 game.
Yeah,
In fact, when those, like you say that about butchers, but that's because like butchers, when they have that second goal, when they're able to like take that second goal, that means they're just so far ahead typically, or they have such control of the game points wise.
that might be true. Or maybe that's
It like puts your opponent in. They're like playing from behind, pretty hard.
Yeah, like if you can go up
yeah.
if butchers go up 8-4 on you, like they have forever to. Like that's
Find
so
2 kills,
to find 2 kills. In
Yeah,
butchers,
they're starting to like fork your focus pretty hard in
And
stopping both of those.
They're
eventually.
probably not at 8 points. They're probably 10 because Fillet probably killed something.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
And that was sort of the situation I tried to get myself into against Alex the other day, was because I didn't think he'd be able, it was like, I could take another goal and make it 10-2.
Yeah.
And I didn't think you'd find a way to get to 10 or to get to 12 before I could find one of the relatively squishy Falconers to kill.
Yeah.
But it was closer than I expected, but
Yeah, you did
Still was
eventually
hard.
get there, but yeah.
yeah.
I think Ikaros is good. Man, it feels so hard to allocate to him. I actually think you really want to go for goals turn 1 or turn 2, which I wasn't doing. I think I need to do that with him. Because the type of striking that you have to do once lines have met, where you actually have to like tackle someone, get away from them, and then go score.
He's not.
He's not great at that, unless he's getting crowdouts or he has that. What is his rule where he gets bonus attack when he feathered friends?
Yeah.
that's actually like sort of.
that's like his pseudo defensive mechanic when we talked about like the 2 things that he has to have.
But it also gives him +1 tack, which makes his push dodge more reasonable.
But I mean, I think that's defensive tech because his push dodge being more reasonable means his counterattack is more reasonable.
It does, but I also think it's important for like credibly getting out after you tackle. Like you tackle and then you push dodge away from that person, and then you
Take flight and
Man,
then you
that
shoot your goal.
feels hard.
It is hard. I mean, that's what I'm saying. He's like not great at that. He can be sort of set up to do it, but he's still not.
That seems
amazing at
kinda
it.
bad.
And it's not nearly as good as if like taking flight was Where'd They Go or something. But what he does have is he has that thing where he can be like super safe and then still score. Like he can be like far away from the opponent's goal and still get over there, basically. So that in conjunction with airmail, I think is really nice.
Yeah.
I think where he's really going to be great at scoring goals is when you get the ball on Devana, you airmail it to him, and next turn you allocate him his 3 or his 2.
Sure.
Depending on
seems
if you
good.
need sprint or just the other one.
Right.
Let's talk about the 2 rules weird things around him.
Oh, sure. I know one of them. But
So the first one, the one we know, is the taking flight. So taking flight, when you have flight, you ignore ground.
Yeah.
So him being able to use fast ground. A lot of people think that he can't use it when he takes flight because it's a simultaneous effect, right? You can choose the order you accept them in.
Right.
So you can take the jog and then gain flight if it's relevant.
So it only really screws you if you need flight for the first jog and also
and the
fast
2
ground.
inches.
Yeah. It is a weird rules interaction. I feel like they didn't want that to be the case at all, but they didn't want to change flight in the rules. I wouldn't be surprised if in the future, like in season 4, they change flight to say doesn't benefit or doesn't get affected by rough ground, but still benefits from fast ground or something. I don't know if that would like break any other flying models, but I'm not really worried about Dirge and Bonesaw. So
Bonesaw's not flying, is he?
isn't that what he gets with his heroic?
I thought he just got I thought it was like Friday and.
No, it's like he only has the move through models part. I think.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
And then the other thing that's really weird about this rule is that ground is bolded.
That's got to just be like a typo, right?
It's-
That they
right.
only told it's ground.
Or as like we've speculated in the past that the minor guilds are all written with season 4 in mind.
Yeah,
And maybe it's relevant there somewhere. Like maybe this simultaneous effects,
right.
right? Like they'll be simultaneous or something. Like who knows? And then the ground reminder
It's
matters.
really weird that flying is not bolded to me. But
Yeah, I don't know, man. Sometimes, like, we can only wait until season 4 to see if this is, for some reason, the way it goes now, and not... but weren't less things bolded on the Navigator cards that we saw, like, the top half of? I thought that happened.
I don't know.
But I could be wrong.
And then the other rules thing is he can only use... he has the once per turn fast ground
Yeah.
thing, which is weird, and I don't think there's I couldn't find an official ruling when I did
Okay.
the briefest of things doing research for this episode. But my understanding of it is that Harrier AoE, he can only use one of his 2 movements to gain that fast ground. He doesn't gain it on both.
that's mine also. I'm not 100% sure why I think that. I feel like I've seen somebody say that, but I don't think that doesn't line up with how I read that rule.
Okay,
But-
can you explain to me how you read that rule then?
So
So it's once per turn, this model may treat a friendly Harrier AoE as fast ground.
right, but there's no listed duration. So once per turn, it can choose a Harrier AoE and treat it as fast.
Oh, so it's like he can't. Not
So-
all Harrier AoEs are fast ground.
Right.
But just
It's-
one is
one
fast
would
ground for
continue
both
to be
moves.
Can't you only gain fast ground once per movement? So if I walk through 6 fast ground somehow,
Yeah, no,
I don't
I-
gain 12.
I agree,
instant
but
movement.
I'm just saying that the way that's written to me could be read as he could get it on both jogs.
Okay.
So as long as it was the same Harrier.
All right.
So you choose one Harrier, you jog into it, and the 2 inches gets you to the other edge of it. You
and
start
that's the
second
same
jog.
Harrier.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I guess I can see the reading both ways. Well, I guess we'll wait on a ruling on that one.
I feel like I've seen somebody who would know say that you only get it once, but
Okay.
don't take my word for that.
Yeah.
Go bother Owen on the forums. Or Bryce.
All right. Anything else about Ikaros?
Ikaros.
I think he's... I don't know, this is jumping ahead a tiny bit, but I think he is competing for my last slot with Mataagi right now.
Oh, interesting. I also think he's competing for the last slot with someone else. I guess we'll...
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
But I think I want him to be useful, and I feel like goals are a way for Falconers to win, especially because Falconers have to win quick. Because we haven't even gotten to the super squishy models yet, but even these first 3 are not tanky. 4-1-16 is not tanky for a captain. 4-0, 10 boxes is pretty decent for a mascot.
Okay.
And then 4-1, 13 boxes on Ikaros is like just barely under par. If we picture like the standard is 4-1, 14 boxes for a squatty, it's like just barely a little bit worse. But we're about to get real squishy. So, yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
All
Wait,
right.
don't we do a pause now?
Oh, yeah, we're moving on to... You're right. So let's take a quick moment. I have the editing tools. I can do whatever I want. All right. Let's take a quick moment and pause here on our wing eating challenge and discuss the minor or the people coming over from the major guilds, which are Vet Hearn and Egret. So I think we're in agreement in that you never play.
So I was interested when you
never
were
play
saying
Egret.
that there was somebody that Ikaros was competing for a slot for. I wasn't sure if you were going to say Egret.
I was going to say Vet Hearn.
Okay, that's sort of that was my first thought. But then I thought, like, then somebody said something about scoring goals, and I'm like, okay, Egret's the other striker. But yeah, no, I agree that he's mostly competing with Hearn.
Yeah, but let's Egret really briefly. I don't like Egret in this faction. I think that In isolation, she's not total garbage. She benefits from Harriers, which is nice. She's an extra range condition, which I think is good. I think there's a problem with seeing them as a range guild in general, though. They're not really a range guild. They can't really keep the opponent far away for very long.
Yeah,
they can shoot from range on turn 1, and it's hard to invalidate them in terms of like keeping out of their melee zones so they can't hit you. That's really what they come from. But really, Devana and Mataagi have like weirdly extended melee ranges. That's like closer to how they work than them actually being like a range guild, like your engineers or your hunters or your alchemists. And so Egret's plan of being like, I'm really far away and I'm going to keep flurrying you, doesn't feel like it will be meaningfully useful or cost efficient since she can't generate momentum. They have no way to make her generate momentum, nothing like Sunstrike or Momentous Inspiration. And at some point, you're just going to be like, this 2 influence I keep giving to Egret, unless she's scoring a goal, which she's fine at, but not great, should be on someone who can make a Harrier and make Devana murder people.
Yeah, I think it comes down to allocation issues, is really... I think the idea of her snapping 3 damage if they're in a Harrier, and then maybe spreading that to one other model that's in a Harrier, hitting 2 other models that aren't...
Yeah.
Right, sounds great, but it's an allocation issue, and there's no efficiency in the faction beyond the 13 and Hearn. But if you're playing her and Hearn, you're bringing only 2 Harriers. So it means you're leaving some of Devana's like game on the on the cutting room floor.
And the other, I'm sorry.
I don't know. I guess talking about this now, I'm a little curious to see her played. Where, so just thinking about it, you can give 2 to each of your Harrier. If you play the 3 Harrier people in her, you can give each of them 2 to put a Harrier down, and her 2 to flurry, and still give Devana the full 5.
Yeah.
Then I guess you don't have last lights.
Correct.
Which is kind of a big deal. So I don't know. Like, it doesn't seem bad, but like you were saying, I think the part where you expect to get multiple turns of flurrying in before you're like meaningfully threatened is kind of a critical piece of her.
Yeah.
Especially because she like plays hard into that with Back to the Shadows and Hunters.
Yeah, that's the other thing is that like nobody else in Falconers has anything like Back to the Shadows, unless you count Take to the Skies or whatever it is, Take Flight, which is pretty janky. So like it's just Egret. I think these types of models that can sort of interact and then leave.
Yeah,
they get better the more of those you have on your team.
Yeah.
Right.
Like the more you're able to deny of your opponent. But like 6 inches from Devana, even if we're just picturing like Devana and Mataagi shooting and Egret shooting, and the rest of your guys not interacting, 6 inches is not ranged really. In that the opponent, like almost no model can't get to you at 6 inches
and can't get you with no influence.
Right. Yeah. Like yeah. Most models can even engage at 6 inches, even if they're snared. Like even Devana's thing, snaring, is like clearable, and then I don't think that makes them intrinsically bad. I just think it means that they're a bad fit for Egret. Like it's okay that they're a short range guild. It just Egret doesn't really want to play with a short range guild.
Yeah. Okay.
And the other, I had a thought the other day that I was like, maybe I could play Egret just because I need tankiness, but I thought she was 4-1-14, and she's 4-1-12, so she's actually even squishier than Ikaros. So other than having a slightly better escaping counterattack.
Yeah, I thought she was 14 also.
Yeah, she's 12 HP. So, I mean, she has Swift Strikes and Back to the Shadows, so she's hard to pin down, but my idea was like, oh, there will be a model that's like takes slightly longer to kill in the scrum, but that is definitely not Egret. They have stuck to not being tanky in the guild really closely, including the crossover models. So
well, except Hearn, he's okay.
He's okay.
Well, let's talk about Hearn. Last Light is really interesting because this faction would freaking love Theron's Blessing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's I get Blessing and Sunstrike confused.
Yeah.
I have
Blessing
no confidence in. But they would love Blessing.
They would love Blessing.
And because they would love Blessing and can't have it, they love Last Light.
Yes, I think that
Last Light
Light
is super useful.
Having Last Light on Devana every turn is great. It feels really good. You will gladly pay a momentum instead of an influence to move a Harrier or move your birdie.
Yep.
And then make as many attacks as you possibly can. I also think Hearn's playbook is great for the guild. Specifically the knockdown.
Yeah.
And the tackle to a lesser extent, but the knockdown is awesome.
Because they're light on knockdowns.
They're not. Well, they have Minerva.
They're high.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then they have like Hearn and Minerva together feels like you have a credible amount of knockdowns for a scrum.
I agree.
Which you want to have because, again, you're really squishy and you don't want people healing because you want to like do a little bit of damage with your Harrier creators and then finish them off with the Devana. So making them also have to stand up is really nice. And 2-inch melee is good. Never complain about 2-inch melee.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think Skewered is something that will be really brutal when it gets procced into a Harrier, but I wouldn't expect to see it constantly.
Yeah, it seems hard now that you can't just like blessing for it.
Yeah, you can't blessing for it, and
You usually can't even last light for it.
last lighting for anything other than a 1-cost play is pretty expensive. It's not totally out of the realm of good ideas, but I think it's tough.
Yeah, it's tough.
But that's okay because he does good things, and he's sort of like sneaky fast, as everybody who's played against him knows. There's
If it wasn't once per turn, I think you'd see it. But the fact it's once per turn makes it difficult.
If we're going into Season 4 and they're going to change these crossover models, but they only want to do it lightly, I would love to see his rule get amended that he also treats Harriers as fast ground. I think that would be really theme. I know.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Because they still treat as fast ground, so it can't stack.
Yeah, okay.
But just like he's more often at his faster threat range.
Okay.
I think that would be like... Because I don't think he's like...
Because there's no one in the guild that drops rough ground for him, right?
No, I was worried about him and Hunters. With like the forest plus a Harrier.
Yeah, I see.
But they can already get that with Scatha, with fast ground. It's just like,
it's not actually a problem because they're both fast ground. So.
Yeah, and the other thing is that he's like, he almost, I think, at least when I see Hunters, he's almost never taken with Theron because Hearn 1 is so good. So him being slightly better in a Theron list seems fine to me. Like,
okay.
I don't know, is there other things about this guy that you wanted to talk about?
Not really.
It's worth mentioning his tackle being so dramatically better than Hearn 1's, I guess.
Yeah. And I think it's...
But, you lose singled out, which...
Right, but so with singled out, you have to like single somebody out and then try and tackle it. And it's
I realize that his tackle is bad. But,
It's also, other than Ikaros, it's the best tackle in... Oh, Ikaros and... No, yeah, it's better than Egert's too. Other than Ikaros, it's the best tackle in Falconers before you count Death from Above and stuff on Devana. So that's pretty nice too. It being on 2-inch melee is great.
Yeah, so there's like models you can take it from that.
Yeah. So like it's not just sort of so easy to kill against them, I guess. He's like slightly tankier, like you were saying. 3-1, 20 boxes is pretty good. It's definitely can be victim-y against like a knockdown heavy guild. Someone that like puts him into the 2-1 territory and then kind of deletes him. But that's not every guild.
But it's comparable to Devana, I think.
Yeah, I would believe
on
that.
average.
And I think that's good. I think you really think that he's competing for the last slot. I actually think he's almost auto-include. Maybe not literally.
So Last Light is really, really great. Mm-hmm. Right? It's like giving Devana another influence.
Right.
Mm-hmm. But if you're playing Ikaros, you're probably playing into a guild that outfights you or that can reach you and kill you very easily.
Yeah.
Right? So him making her better at killing stuff, I don't think is a thing you need.
Yeah,
I think you're looking at playing the ball more and getting your 2 takeouts. That's why you audible over to this other plan.
Maybe that's true. I guess I think that even in games where you don't specifically need Last Light all that often, his playbook, specifically the knockdown and tackle, is good enough that I think he's useful. He also has the 1-inch push and 2-inch push is kind of nice.
So I think he's the mainstay, and then you will swap him out for Ikaros in the models where they...
You're good, yeah.
Okay. I think you'll swap him out in the models that you fight him for.
Okay.
Or that you're outfought.
Mm-hmm. I do have to try some games without him because I think he's been in all of my games so far. So, but
who did you think? So Ikaros, you said fights for last slot
with Mataagi.
With Mataagi, okay. I just think it's hard to leave Harriers at home.
I think you can get by with 2 Harriers, but anyway, we'll get to that when we get.
I sort of originally was with you that you didn't need 3, but after playing against 3 of them, it felt way harder than playing against 2.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think you also have to keep in mind, like, we'll get to this when we probably do our wrap-up or whatever, but Grace is very good against this faction.
That's true. I would always take 3 Harriers against Grace. Okay. I think that's just what you have to do.
Yeah, I agree. But, like, you just can't play 2 Harriers in a Grace. Like,
yeah.
And
maybe there are times where Hearn is out for Ikaros and Mataagi, but it feels to me like in most matchups Hearn has a pretty set place. But I'll try it without him for sure. Yeah. So I don't know. Their crossovers are fine. Hearn feels like a little bit more meaningful if we're comparing them to like Falcon or Ratcatcher's design space. Hearn feels better than Vet Graves does, but both of them get play. And unfortunately, even though I think Egret is like literally better than Bonesaw, and definitely better than Bonesaw definitely better in Hunters than Bonesaw is in Morticians, no question. I think neither of them see play, pretty much. It's just...
I'm not 100% convinced Egret's out of Hunters. I don't think Mataagi makes the 10.
Wait. Oh, no, I think Egret does get played in Hunters. Sorry,
Okay, yeah.
I'm saying she never gets played...
She never gets played in Falconers.
Yeah,
okay.
And she's definitely better in Hunters than Bonesaw is in Morticians. Because I think Bonesaw is in the trash in both of his guilds.
Yep.
I wish that wasn't true.
Me too. It's a cool model.
Yeah.
You guys ready to move on?
I guess so.
Sure.
It's time to start hurting ourselves again.
All right.
I was enjoying the break.
So this is Trace Diablos. There's 3 peppers.
Great.
It's like a 3-pepper blend.
Okay. Ooh, wow. Okay. That's hot.
Huh. All right. Getting there.
This is the first one where I haven't really... I feel like I'm only tasting the hot. I got, like, in the first one, I really got the garlic. In the second one, I don't remember exactly what flavor I was feeling, but there was something other than hot. This one is, like, just hurts. Ow.
Maybe I'm getting off easy on this one.
Maybe you're...
I'm not.
Really?
I'm actually thinking I'm hitting the milk for the first time.
Maybe you're just, like, king of hot food.
This one's just like, it's on my tongue. Like,
Yeah, no, it definitely is there.
I can definitely feel hiccups coming.
But so far, this is less extreme than the last one to me. Maybe I just had more sauce on the last one or something. This is definitely not cold by any means. I'm like, I wouldn't want to eat several of these.
Okay.
All right.
Next.
Mataagi.
Oh, God.
Fuck this guy.
We're breaking all the audio equipment. I'm sorry, everybody. All right.
All right, yeah, I'm starting to struggle here too.
Okay.
All right, Mataagi is the like. Oh, it's like I'm fine when I'm not talking.
So Mataagi has Harrier. He also has Snapfire, like our favorite character, Egret.
Is bad.
I'm going to read the entire card now.
Oh my god.
But he's a 5 out of 10 boxes, so he continues the theme of being pretty fucking squishy. He's also a 6/9 in the vein of Vitriol, for those of you who tend to forget that, myself included.
Is it Vitriol? Oh, no.
Yeah, no. One of my opponents, shout out to Bismarck from the Discord, did that. Thought she was 7/9 at Eastern Canadian Nats. But so I think the important thing about Mataagi is that he's hot shot like Cinder, right? And he his 2 best results, well, not 2 best. His 2 most common results are both on 2. I'm really enjoying the way you guys are looking at me. So
I can't touch my eyes.
he has both.
That's my issue. Is I'm crying and I can't.
No, we're gonna power through, okay?
Yeah, I know we're powering through.
He has both Momentous 2 and Momentous Harrier on 2 with TAC 5. So not great against your 4/1s of the world, right? It's a coin flip. It's pretty good against Brewers.
Yeah. Which is where you need him.
Yeah. I did not, until I was looking at this today, realize he had a 2/8 kick.
Yeah.
So
Got some venom stats right there. So you know it's good.
I mean, yeah.
Fuck
I'm listening. This is, I guess, another character that really highlights the thing that I wish, or I'd really love to see in Season 4, them decouple the number of dice you roll for a character play from its cost.
Yes.
Because I think his Snapfire with more dice, but still costing 1, would be really interesting. Like, because there'd be a lot of
It'd be
situations.
amazing. If it was 2 dice, or if it was
Yeah.
2 dice drop 1, which I think is the thing that I wish they would bring into Guild Ball.
Okay, tell me about that.
So it's you roll 2 dice, drop the worst, but I guess it's the same for character play, right?
Yeah. Because just being able to, like, give him 2, put down a Harrier, and then make him do 2 damage and bleed seems I don't know, worth it to influence. Because I guess it's worth saying he does have crucial artery.
Yeah.
And he is light-footed. Is that the first falconer that's light-footed?
I think the only falconer. The only printed falconer.
Well,
Hearn is, yeah.
Yeah, Hearn's light-footed.
Hearn's double light-footed.
Yeah.
Better than light-footed.
Yeah.
Nice-footed.
Motherfucker, why does this one hit me so hard? God damn.
I'm excited.
I'm past the worst of it.
I'm excited for where we're going now.
Oh, I'm not. I have a whip, it's true. No.
It's okay, you can tap out if you want.
I'm not fucking tapping out. Fuck you.
All right, Mataagi.
This would not be a podcast.
All right, I feel like I've really recovered here. I'm going to contribute.
Okay.
So I think it's hard. So he is hotshot, just like... Fuck.
Cinder, like we talked about.
Yeah, Cinder. And relying on hitting that Harrier, so a lot of people are like, oh, you give him 1 or 2. I feel like if you give him 2, you're hard buying that thing.
It's based on defense? I don't know.
What are the...
Cause
I don't have a phone. No.
if you roll for it at 6-inch range
Yeah.
and you miss it, it's not like you can take another attempt. You're like, I'm snap firing, I guess.
Hell yeah.
I feel like you give him 1 or you give him 2 or you give him none and your plan is last lighting him, which is rare.
You're last letting him to put a Harrier down?
Yeah.
Okay. That seems rare.
That hurts so bad. Two momentum like that.
Or you,
I guess, yeah,
or
the
you
odds-
last light him. You take his attack at range. See if you hit the Harrier, and if you do, you just buy the Snapfire with the momentum.
Uh-huh.
And then if you don't, you have the backup Harrier.
Yeah.
But I think putting 2 on him, like if you're putting 2 on him, you're never rolling those dice. You're just dropping that Harrier.
So the odds are not as good as I thought for him to Harrier stuff. Like, so even against a
not great.
3-1, a 3-1 or a 4-0 are both about 80%. The thing that I have seen in the one game I played against him was that he was when he was taking the hot shot, it was rarely with 5 dice.
Yeah. That's what I was going to say.
It's that like either Hearn is engaging somebody or the bird is engaging somebody. So he's rolling 6.
No, it should be even better than that. He needs to be I think he's your last Harrier for 2 reasons. One, bleed is better when it sticks. So you want to do it after people have been healed, ideally, or when it becomes more expensive to clear conditions, at least.
Isn't bleed the same when it sticks?
I get whatever.
Okay.
You want it to stick, I guess. Is the point for his damage output to like look good with low influence. And then the other thing is he should be hot-shotting after the other Harrier people have gone, specifically Minerva, but really both, so that you can get either I Spy or Dirty Knives or both on a target. Because then not only does his momentous Harrier get good, but his real moneymaker starts to be plausible, which is on his 4th column.
Yeah.
His 2 damage Harrier with bleed is a really good result to be shooting from range.
Yeah, like if they're in a Harrier, 3 damage bleed is...
3 damage bleed, and his Harrier, like, they don't have to go to the same place. Like, he could do 3 damage and bleed to some weak target that's easy to hit, and then the Harrier goes over here before Devana activates. So I think that's where his, like... He's like... If you picture the 3 Harriers, and I know we haven't got to the other 2 yet, but it's like, Minerva's your first Harrier, because she's the most setup-y. And then your second Harrier is Rundaas, because he kind of wants a Harrier already, but he might roll another one while he's attacking. And then Mataagi is like your last Harrier because he really wants dice bonuses, and you want to like make sure that his like Harrier hotshot does something else in addition to the Harrier. Is it hitting you again or something? You're giving me a funny look.
No, I'm just getting excited about editing this and your reactions.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that order of Minerva is the first one who's sort of the most flexible because she can put I Spy on a guy.
Yeah.
And Rundaas, like, we'll get there, but he fucking enjoys extra attack against the model.
Yeah. His top playbook is fucking sick. And the other thing about Minerva is she's good at like. Never mind. We'll get to that when we actually get to Minerva. But
when there are more fun wings.
Yeah. But the thing about Mataagi, him being so squishy, 5-0, 10 boxes, really not a great counterattack. Another like really mediocre counterattack. You want him to just be hot-shotting for as long of the game as humanly possible. He actually can do damage, because a momentous 2-on-2 is nothing to sneeze at. It's like consistent, and there might be a Harrier in play.
Fucking killed my Decimate.
He fucking killed your Decimate. It was sick.
But like 2-on-2 with the damage buffs in the faction and like the attack buffs in the faction. You're like, what is it? I Spy is the one that's on Minerva.
Yeah.
Right. He is actually dangerous, but it's 10 boxes.
Yeah, he's gonna like. If he's not like helping you finish the game, he doesn't literally have to get the 12th point. But if he's not like getting you to 10, then he's probably going to trade. He's probably going to like die soon afterwards, basically.
He's also fine where he can kill the thing that is threatening to kill him.
Yes. Yeah, I think there's like and his threat range is nice. Like I didn't appreciate how good the 6'9" move is, but it gives him a 12-inch range on his hot shot, but then it also gives him a 10-inch range when he finally goes in. So him hanging back is okay. Does that like make sense? Like he can afford to be hot shotting because when you finally want him to actually commit, he can probably reach the scrum.
Yeah.
And he also, like you guys were saying with the kick stat, he has like a randomly credible goal threat, even if it's kind of low odds. But so yeah, I mean, I like him. I just think that he's kind of a liability in some fighting matchups because I think I would say that he's the squishiest. Although it's not like it's sort of dependent on how your opponent attacks. But I think like if we just had to rank them in terms of squishiest, he'd probably be at the bottom for me.
And it also matters where it's attack buffs versus raw damage buffs.
Yeah, right. Or like how easy it is for them to knock down and how much they get from knocking down changes stuff. But yeah.
Yeah. Huh. Okay. I guess looking at him, I'm sort of glad Falconers don't seem to play the ball harder, I guess. Because that would motivate me to play MASH, and I don't want to play MASH against Mataagi.
Yeah, I think
he's like just good enough at tackling the ball with MASH without buffs that it's like scary, I guess.
I'm going to try to make a conscious effort to play the ball more with them now. I think
thanks.
I think it's really important. I think they're just like they trade. They always trade in fights because they're so squishy. It's just like you can kill people, but you can't like expect to win a long fight. Like
yeah, there's like a thing in Brewers where you like kill a model, and that means they can't kill the model you just killed them with.
Right.
Like once you take out their captain, they're not going to kill Tapper usually.
Right.
But that just doesn't happen to Falconers.
Yeah, that's never the case.
Yeah.
They kill stuff and they kill it real good, but that doesn't. They have not saved themselves almost ever.
Yeah.
And they have to be in the threat to do it.
Yeah. Right. At best, they can just make the opponent have to like stand up and walk instead of healing themselves and attacking or whatever.
Yeah. Huh.
Oh my god.
You good to move on?
I wanted to come up with more Mataagi things so we didn't have to move on. I really don't have much else to say.
Well, second spiciest wing, one of the spiciest players.
With only spicy players, yeah.
I don't fill this one yet.
I don't either, and that's scary.
Yeah. That's ominous.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. It was bad.
There she is.
Still not feeling it.
It's only a little bit. It's like more threatening to show up than actually. Oh god.
Oh, I'm gonna regret licking my fingers there.
I'm just gonna force myself to do it every time.
All right. Minerva is our next one. Here it comes.
I don't feel it.
Oh, this one's sneaky, in my opinion.
All right. Well, that's okay. I can talk very briefly before I assume I will die.
All right. We're on Minerva, who is got a lot of excitement about it. She's my favorite player in the...
I think Minerva's the best squatty.
Yeah.
She's fucking sick.
In Falconers.
In Falconers, yeah. Not the best squatty. Squatty. Yeah. Okay, I'm starting to feel it. All right. Minerva's sick. She's your setup piece. She's got a knockdown on 2 like a badass.
Yeah.
But she's got a Harrier or a like range single once per turn singled out on 1. She's also got 9-inch threat, which is nice. She's 4-0 with 15 boxes, which again is pretty squishy, though it's squishy in a different way. And then the two
squishy in a Frelsi way.
The two things on the back of her card are absolute fucking mighty. Oh, ow.
There it is. All right. I'll take over from here. So the big thing that keeps her in check is that she's a 2-3 influence and not the normal 2-4 we see on squatties.
Yeah.
And that's because she is full of insane efficiency.
Yeah, definitely.
Right. Her Harrier being on 1, her having essentially tied for the lowest knockdown, even though her attack's 1 lower. He's 5. Ern's also 5. So tied for the lowest knockdown. Right. And also on 1, she has range singled out in I Spy, which is flippin' bananas, except that it's once per turn. And I get why it's once per turn.
Yeah, it definitely should.
That's so good.
Yeah. She is one of the most frustrating models to watch spend 3 influence, I think. Because like she always if she just spends 3 influence for those 3 effects, Harrier, I Spy, and a knockdown on a model, like that model's in a bad place.
Yeah.
Yeah, you need to not let this model jog to you.
Yeah.
If you can stop her.
And then also, as soon as she's in the fight and you don't kill her, her nocturnal
Oh, God.
Nocturnal Hunter gets so good. Like, this is like... I actually think that this rule makes the guild playable.
Uh-huh.
Like, it's like the thing that sort of mitigates how squishy they are, is that if you aren't killing a falconer in one go, there's a serious chance that they just, like, randomly get all their HP back, and your opponents and the falconers are still competing in momentum.
Mm-hmm. It's a really... Nocturnal hunting is a really weird functioning rule because it's Minerva that does the...
Yeah. So, like...
I don't like that part. But
So each time an enemy model suffers the taken out condition while within this aura, 6 inches, after the current activation is resolved, this model may immediately use Come On Mate without spending momentum.
And her range remains 8, even though the target has to die within 6 of her. So it's also like I've a couple times in my games now, I've had a thing where someone else activates first, who's like in danger of dying, and gains 8 HP because they kill somebody. Minerva heals them, and they heal themselves, and that like feels great. Like that function is amazing.
Yeah, that's pretty silly. I don't like that part very much.
Yeah, that you can heal a model 8 in one turn. It's just like crazy.
8 in 1 activation.
One activation, that's what I meant.
Yeah. And easy pickings is good too because it also means that she can like. Sometimes you want to like. Falconer Minerva is so good at going on someone who's 1 HP. Because what she can do is she can make 3 attacks and like Harrier and I Spy somewhere else and then kill that model basically guaranteed. If they're on 1 HP, even through Tough Hide, she just needs 1 success. So then she can also heal for free there. Like she gets her own aura. So
she can heal somebody else.
She can heal someone else for free.
And because her activation's over, she can heal herself?
No, she can heal somebody else.
It doesn't require it to not be her activation. So she just can come on mate as she normally could, but once for free.
Yeah.
So if she can score 2 points and I Spy and Harrier on someone else, you're just like super set up for the turn, and that's amazing.
I only say this because I saw somebody ask it today, but as far as I can tell, there's no reason that it would override the thing that only lets you become unmated once.
Yeah, it counts as all
still that effect.
So it's what's important about it is just the burst and also like weird ranges and that it doesn't use the momentum.
I agree. Okay.
Yeah. So it's definitely not like oppressive amounts of healing, I guess, but
I think you were right when you said that it is kind of like a critical thing that lets them play a fight.
Yeah.
Where, and I'm sort of most worried about this in Hunters, where you're like going back and forth, both doing some damage to each other, and then the Hunters like finally kill a model, and you kill a Hunter's model, except they got to come on beta model for free.
Yeah.
And that like if that happens twice, you're just like this fight slowly just falls to the Hunters because they get to keep doing that.
Yeah, I don't think this is really Falconer's fault, but Minerva feels like comparably good in Hunters, but Hunters are just a better guild. Yeah. So I feel like, in my opinion, and maybe we'll get to that, where do we put them in a tier list at the end of the podcast, but I just think that like Hunters are stronger right now, in my opinion. Falconers are not bad, but Hunters are stronger, and so the fact that they have Minerva will just mean that Minerva will probably shine more in Hunters. It's not Falconer's fault. It's just how it is, because she's just an amazing model, and I think she should be in every Hunters 10.
Yeah, definitely.
And maybe in almost every 6, probably.
Yeah, and she's, because she's so good and she's takeable in Hunters, I don't know how many Hunters games you're going to take 2 Harriers in, because it's just tooled up for them.
Yeah, it doesn't do what it does for Devana. Exactly. Yeah.
And it doesn't do any of the other buffs like the fast ground or any of that other nonsense.
Yeah.
Fast ground in the cover for Ikaros.
And I do think Mataagi's good, but there's a lot of other good players in Hunters now.
Yeah, exactly. I just don't think that suddenly they're a guild that like
wants 2 almost entirely support players.
Yeah.
And they have such 2 transformative captains, even though Skatha, I think, is significantly worse than Theron. But the ability to just completely alter your plan is just an innately strong thing in Guild Ball. Also, I just want to complain that I don't think the easy pickings rule is written incredibly clearly.
I wish it had specified who was the recovery level.
Yeah.
Yeah,
whether
that's
it's
not great.
she's hitting half health models or she's at half health.
I definitely, when I first read it, maybe everybody else read it more clearly, but when I first read it, I thought it was when Minerva's at low HP.
I did too, for what it's worth. And it's not that.
Yeah, it's not that. It's when the target is lower.
Yeah,
because that's the point of. I mean, you can tell from the name sort of that it's supposed to be like she's preying on weak people.
Yeah.
She's more of a scavenger than a. So really, she should have had a crow, not an owl. Anyway,
all right,
vulture.
Okay, all right, I'm ready. You guys ready for this?
You're ready for.
All right,
are we ready for the tradition where we put a little bit?
Oh yeah, let's. You want to do that?
Fuck yeah! Let's just hate ourselves.
For those keeping track at home, in the actual show that we are parodying and not ripping off, they have a tradition.
We've never ripped off a show in the past
where they take the last one and they put a little dab on the
last wing,
and that's why they have the sauce.
Be very careful. This one's much runnier.
We'll say I broke the rules earlier and tried this one.
Which I was pretty upset about
because the amount I tried is one. We'll say less than on this wing and less than we're about to put on.
You're probably good.
And,
here you go.
And I'm concerned now.
Okay, all right.
Well, I'm going to do it if everybody's doing it.
I don't know if you guys don't want to man up.
So far,
I'm not going to let bots outdo me after he whined real hard.
Yeah. At this point,
on wing 3,
I'm ready to match.
Oh boy!
You were the one who warned me. Careful with the merchandise over there. Really careful.
Okay.
Whoa, Pat!
I didn't want to. It happened on its own.
Jesus, Pat!
I'm gonna die. That's fine.
Make sure this doesn't drip on Decimate over here.
Yeah.
You guys ready?
Oh, I'm not gonna toast you.
Oh, you don't want to choose wings?
I'll toast you.
I'm not. No. I'm not
right.
doing that. I'm gonna get all the chicken. That's what's gonna save me, right?
That's what that's been my plan. Like, it's only on the outside, right? Alrighty. Rundaas.
Okay, Rundaas is a badass.
Oh, the corners of my mouth. Ugh.
All right.
Ooh, ow. It's a little slower than the fourth one was really like right. Ooh, ow. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
We're done. I just want to say that.
Yeah. All right.
Oh, it keeps getting worse. There's levels. Oh, okay. Rundaas, as the internet has been calling him, a push Jakar.
It's like Push Midas,
Oh, God.
also known as Piper. So
When did I get it down here?
this guy's pretty good, even though Vincent doesn't think so.
Oh, no. I coughed and it all came back up.
It's enveloping. It's gotten under the tongue.
Like all over my face. That's the only part that I'm not into.
Ow.
So,
1-on-1, 2-on-2, 2 push dodge on 3. His Harrier is the only unmomentous Harrier in the thing, correct?
on 2, yeah. On 5 it is.
Oh, okay. With 2 damage, which, as we talked before, is a money play.
That is a really baller result. Bots did that to me several times yesterday, and I was mad every time.
It can also be dirty knives instead,
Yeah.
which is legit.
Fuck. Especially when you use it to proc glut mass on esters. It's really frustrating.
Oh, yeah. I'm so glad you guys let me do this to you.
Yeah, that's what sucks.
Fuck! Well, it's because, so as a rule, I generally don't do hot sauces with capsaicin in them, with capsaicin extract. It's just like bad for you.
Okay. Oh,
And it's
thanks.
also just like mean as shit.
Fuck.
Right? But this one has it because, yeah.
Can I borrow this?
Yeah, sure, dude.
More.
I have somebody I have to get back with some hot food.
Oh, yeah, we should get Adam
Oh.
from fucking Sweden with this bullshit.
Adam Feed, if you still listen to this podcast, this is coming for you.
You and your goddamn salt candies.
Okay.
This or the salt bullets?
This is way worse.
This is way worse.
Well, I don't know. I think I would do this again before the salt bullets again.
That's a good question.
Because this is going to be over in 20 minutes.
It wasn't. I didn't hate the salt bullets as much. Or I didn't hate the one that was like extremely salty for a short period of time. Like,
Oh, yeah, that one I didn't hate. The salt bullet that was like not quite as salty.
Oh, the one from the goat?
Yeah, the goat one. The goat one is
That
the one
wasn't
that I
great.
hated.
I was more...
God, it doesn't fucking stop. I want to cut out my tongue.
I mostly hated the one that came in the roll that was like pink and white. That you're supposed to like chew, and it was a nightmare.
Oh.
Because it just like got stuck in your teeth and was horrible.
How are you guys talking?
I don't know.
Because I've got Rundaas to review.
I got nothing else to do.
So now that I've got the spiciest chicken wing we have coursing its way through me, right, I'm going to give you the hottest take.
Yeah.
Rundaas is not Jakar.
Why not?
Clearly
Right.
your car.
All right, so his playbook is similar. His playbook is similar with pushes instead of dodges.
Yeah.
Right, but anatomical is a big difference in tack.
So I
then-
agree with you in a literal sense, but if he's mostly activating after Minerva, I don't think it's that big of a difference. Also,
What's the difference between him activating after? What do you mean? What's the
Like,
big
if
deal?
he's- if he's
because
in the-
Minerva's in the other team too,
sure, I guess.
and you can activate Jakar after Minerva too. Like,
Yeah,
I don't know,
okay, fine, but like, I don't know. The argument that the difference between him and Jakar is anatomical, like, I guess I literally agree with you, but he brings the defense debuff, which Jakar only does in Gun Stream, and his is ranged.
Well, I think it's the anatomical, like, so he's like attack and a half less.
Guys, I touched my eye.
I'm getting water.
Oh no, you're in trouble.
I made the mistake. My right eye is in a bad way.
Dude, if you need to go flush, you can get up and go flush it. Like, I
think I'll be
warned
okay.
you. I warned you so hard.
You did. It's really only in the corner.
Why?
So,
I'm glad these mics are wireless.
but
Even though they sound like shit most of the time.
but it's attack and a half either way. They don't have access to singled out, so under all the buffs, it's even lower. But like, you're already kind of in Magical Christmas Land if you're I Spy and singled out. Like, what doesn't that kill anyway?
Right.
Right. But
I'm so glad we did this.
he also doesn't leave.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, it's
he's the reverse. He dodges at the front instead of at the end. That's why you had Shadow-like.
Yeah, no, like I get, like, I think the flavor thing is cool, but I think in function, like, he functions so fundamentally different from Jakar because he's backwards.
So you think
that the
large...
comparison is almost meaningless.
So
It's a flavor comparison and nothing else. Like, he plays on the table so differently from Jakar.
I guess I'm sort of with you in the sense that I think if you were to sort of break these two models down into their two primary roles...
There's a little bit of sauce right there. You want to lick that off?
No, fuck you.
Like, so basically, I think both he and Jakar do relatively large amount of damage. Do a large amount of damage relative to the rest of their team, aside from the captain.
Yeah.
And both have like a secondary purpose. So Jakar does it and goes away, and he can gut and string you to stop you from following him.
Yeah,
potentially.
to protect other models.
Yeah.
Okay.
Whereas Rundaas does solid damage and continues to set up for other
Okay.
models. So like, he can Dirty Knives a model and put another Harrier down for Devana, while also like putting enough damage on a model that Devana can kill it by just moving Harriers instead of having to go all the way to it. So like, I think there'll be situations where you use him as the model that actually goes in and just like sets up for Devana to kill it at range instead of having to put herself in danger.
Also, there's Tough Hide. Tough Hide is good for him in some
Tough Hide is good for him. Alex Boss, world champion.
Fuck you. Tough Hide. Okay, no, Tough Hide.
I like that you were the most confident going in.
Fuck you. Fuck all of you. Fuck every one of you. Fuck the viewers. Fuck the fans. Fuck that hot sauce. Anyway, no, Tough Hide is really good for him because in the matchups where people are not like killing machines, where they're like just okay at killing or bad at killing, in like Shark's case or whatever, he's like he can super just go in and like once he's done his stuff, it sort of doesn't matter if he's like pushed around and shit. Like if he puts like dirty knives and a harrier down and stuff, then it's like he can be kind of your vanguard, and he can be the person that they hit because they have to hit somebody. And it's really
rather it be him than Mataagi, yeah.
Yeah, you'd rather be him than Mataagi. You definitely, as you were saying, rather it be him than Devana, obviously.
And he can like shadow next turn. He can like shadow away from 1-inch melee models and go do whatever he has to do.
Yeah, and also unlike
or 2 inches he's not in base with.
Yeah, also in unlike Mataagi, though worse than Minerva, he threatens a knockdown on a parting blow, especially if they're dirty knives, which is important.
Yeah, no, his knockdown is eminently reasonable.
Mm-hmm.
Especially with the buffs in faction.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that he's just like a toolbox, and then he also, when set up, can do a lot of fucking damage. Like,
yeah, I think a maybe more apt comparison to him is actually Mallet. Like, while he doesn't have the interactability of him, he's really hard to invalidate because he can if you can't like engage him at reach and just invalidate him. Like if you have some kind of farmer setup or whatever.
Okay.
Right, because you can shadow in, take your attacks, I push you out, take your jog, come on in.
Yeah,
sure.
Right, or I knock you down, take your jog, stand back up, or whatever.
Yeah.
Right. But like his toolboxiness, he lowers defense, he sets up other models, whereas Mallet can, and then Rundaas can also do the deed himself.
Yeah.
Right, and then Mallet's the same way. He can set up models. He can prevent goals. He can do the deed himself. Right. I think and then they're both like some of the tankier models in their faction.
Yeah, it's actually interesting. His lack of a 3 damage is really interesting to me.
It's on 4.
Yeah, are you looking at Guild Ball Scrum?
Yeah,
Guild Ball, so he has a 6-long playbook.
Okay.
He has 3 push on 4.
Is 3 push on 4 the knockdowns on 5?
Yes.
3 push on 4 is the only thing he has on 4.
Yeah, so the knockdown's not as reliable as you made it, but if you have those other setup pieces...
Yeah, but 3 push is pretty good. Okay.
Yeah, 3 push is pretty good. And 2 push dot is also nice. Like, him being able to lightly move the scrum around is important too, especially for carriers and stuff. So... And for pushing people back into engagement with Frelsi and things like that. Those types of things are important. So I think... the fact that he pushes with all of his attacks, basically, except for one where he chooses to knock down, is just useful in the guild because pushes when you have these area plays that are so crucial to the faction, pushes are so important, and the fact that he can push and damage is the best person to be pushing.
Yeah, for sure.
Which is also the reason why I think he should be your second Harrier. If we went back to activation order and going Minerva, Rundaas, Mataagi.
Yeah.
Him going second means he's probably responding to an activation or 2 from the opponent. So then he can start moving on already activated models back into Harriers that might have moved around and are hitting Minerva or whatever. And then he's also just sick because he has a fucking 11-inch threat range. That's so rad. It's weird that this guild was it sort of seems like they're supposed to be a range guild if you just look at their captain, but they're not really a range guild. They're just a fast guild. They're
just they're a high threat guild is maybe a better way to put that.
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah.
So I sort of wanted to argue with that earlier when you were trying to say they're not a range guild, and I'm with you that they are not the ranged guilds that Guild Ball has known so far.
Okay.
But they are they have that high threat range that people are used to from a ranged guild. But function differently in that they don't keep you at range.
Yeah.
They're
okay. Yeah,
they can hit you from range and are also comfortable if you want to get in their face, as long as you don't kill them.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm not sure they're actually comfortable.
Yeah,
they're just they accept the fact that you're gonna come for them.
Like you were saying earlier, they function kind of the same in melee as they do at range in terms of their output. Which is very different to how engineers play a ranged game, right? They shoot you, and then when you get close to them, they do something very different.
Yeah.
But Devana just gets to spend all her influence normally if you get close to her.
Right.
But she also doesn't stop you from ever getting there.
Yeah.
So I think in some ways they're actually similar to that sort of both people have fun thing that farmers do.
Yeah.
Where their trash defensive stats mean their opponents get to have their fun.
Yeah, roll dice and stuff.
Yeah, so the falconers get to hit you before you get to them, but you also get to them, and you're not just like shot to keep you from getting there. So
yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, and they actually end up feeling a lot like butchers. It's sort of like season 2, like I guess pre-fillet butchers, where it was like they're like threatened a lot of things, but they died really easily, and it was a lot about like managing how you responded to the opponent moving and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's sort of like a different thing because it was like with pre-fillet butchers, it's sort of about keeping Ox safe, and it's about like killing things as they come into Ox without letting Ox die, and like playing Ox super conservatively, so he basically just like the only time he goes in, it's because he removes the only threat to him or whatever.
Okay.
Yeah, and there was also, keep in mind, that was a time when Gutter could hard buy the chain
Exactly.
grab, so they could force you into them, so they were a higher threat guild than they are currently.
Yeah, right. And then Falconers are sort of that way too, because if you did stay 6 inches away from them for some reason, they would just maul you. Like you do want to come and interact with them. I mean, there's really no reason not to, but so they can kind of like demand that of you, and then it's about, for me, it feels like it's about responding to how the opponent moves and trying to like bait certain activations without like losing your whole team, and then responding by putting down Harriers and counter killing them, or like kind of putting people in jail and then killing them at the start of following turns to take advantage of a fight, basically.
Yeah, I mean, I think that that putting models in jail is very important to them, as they have like that sort of one activation in Devana that if you can do last is like even stronger than normal. But also like because they don't slow you down, I think the first turn against them is different in some ways than it is against other range teams, where you just like. So against engineers, you just sort of run everything at them you can afford to while still doing your thing.
Yeah.
Because, like, you know, whether they blast Earth Spirit or blast Earth Hooper, you're not, like, obviously you'd prefer they shoot Hooper compared to Spigot, but it's not enormous difference.
Right.
Whereas, I don't want to give you Hooper to hit with Devana, Spigot.
Yeah. 'Cause he'll actually die.
He'll actually threaten to die, whereas I can just run Hooper at you full force.
Yeah.
And you can't slow him down, and he'll probably get to be their turn too if he wants to.
Yeah.
But it's not like he's going to kill you either. So
Yeah, I guess maybe it's turn 1 where they feel the most different from like a real range guild.
Yeah.
Because they really just can't stop you from going in. In that way, they just feel like a melee guild with weird long threat ranges, like unusually long threat ranges.
right.
But because, like, I mean, if Devana goes first and hits somebody and doesn't knock them down, or you have momentum to stand up in turn 1, Devana's getting hit. Like, nobody looks at a 6-inch threat range and is like, that's too far. But, like, smoke and engineers and stuff will actually, on turn 1, be like, not only have I interacted with you, but you cannot interact with me. So,
I think it's actually interesting. Like, in a lot of ways, Devana feels like an offensive model that has second wind, even though she doesn't, because she gets to like interact with you and then not be next to you.
Yeah, that's true.
In a way that I guess I didn't think about beforehand. But that is what it feels most similar to me. Is like a slow model with second wind. Is kind of
it's like a second wind model that had like 5 speed or whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, with us kind of having talked about all the models in the team now, where do we think they fall in the meta, and where do you think their bad matchups are, and where do you think their good matchups are? So, I actually think...
Pat knows what I'm going to say.
I know exactly what
Okay, so
about.
I'll go first since I have the least experience with Falconers, and I'm the most likely to be wrong, and that way you guys can just correct me.
Okay.
I think they're just barely bottom half. I think just below Blacksmiths is where I would put them on my tier list, because of their need to play the ball, but their kind of struggle with it, and their requirement to trade and their fragility.
Man, it'll be so disappointing if Vet Cinder comes out and makes Blacksmiths OP, because then we can't use them as the direct center anymore.
Yeah, right.
Anyway.
They're our true north.
Yeah, exactly. I guess I was going to say the flip side of that. I was going to say, like, just barely on the top half.
Oh, okay. It's good to be like that I'm not that far off.
Yeah, I don't think they can really credibly claim to be much higher than that, but I think that I guess, okay, so I'm just going to say the thing that Pat and I were going to laugh about. They're bad matchups, Vet Decimate.
Vet Decimate is just...
So
She's just a freaking terrorist of the meta right now.
I didn't realize how bad it was until we played it twice yesterday.
She threats 12 on a jog.
Well, this was he kicked both games.
Yeah,
Okay.
But it's more just that like she can go in and do stuff, whether it's like score a goal or hit people a bunch, and then second wind. So her ability to reposition around the Harriers is really frustrating.
Yeah.
And with that in mind, the thing I would try next, which we didn't do in our games because I was trying some other stuff, is Devana would try to like go first, or not literally first, but go as soon as she can and use a Harrier to knock down Decimate. But the thing about that is that
they have a million ways to avoid the knockdown.
when they're kicking off, they just have Hemlock, but because
Lucky and Lucky.
Okay, so Lucky is actually you can't do the thing with Lucky as well against Falconers because if they have two Harriers, they can knock her down and then pull her away from Lucky. And it has to be the starter's activation.
And like if they actually want to use Lucky, they have to sacrifice about an inch of kickoff pressure.
Okay. Yeah, because he has to be within 4 inches at the start. But anyway, it doesn't matter because like just Hemlock on the team. I think Esther's Quaff, Hemlock, Decimate, Spigot, and then X like for matchups. I think it's like. I don't know. I don't want to be
Don't say this on the
hyperbolic.
podcast, bots.
No, I'm saying it on the fucking podcast. No. I think it's one of the best sixes in the game. I think it's just
it's really good.
It's like absurdly strong in its flexible amount of ranged threat and the ability to set up Decimate. But anyway,
don't listen to him.
I think Second Wind on Decimate in particular, that combo of Decimate and Second Wind makes that type of matchup. So Fillet would be another example. Really tough for Falconers because they don't want you to be able to like come in, do stuff, and then leave in a way that the Harriers are hard to move around.
How do you stop Fillet from getting knocked down? Just Swift Stance her early?
Yeah.
Okay.
Your knockdowns are so high.
Okay.
Especially your ranged knockdowns.
You have the computer in front of you. What's 9 tack looking for 5 5s?
It's bad.
Like, so even before Swift Stance, it's bad. But also, there's almost, especially if you're kicking off, there's basically no reason why Fillet isn't second winded or Swift Stance on your first activation.
Okay.
Like, I mean,
there's
literally no reason for that. So
it's 14% before.
Yeah, it's 14%.
What is it after?
Sixes.
1.
Yeah, so they.
I can't wait for you to get wrecked by Zach doing this to you.
Yeah, I'm sure that's going to happen. But yeah, so I mean, like if they go with one Harrier, they have a 14. They're rolling out a 14% chance, or they just gave up their captain. And if they go after 2 Harriers,
they have two 14s to take.
No, they have 2 1% chances because she switched stance to that.
Here's a good point.
Okay, so they can go for the 30 knives first.
No, it's on the. She should be Swift stanced on the first activation.
So it should be.
So if you have a Harrier at all, it should be like the
1%. So they can get up to 3 1% rolls. Yeah, it's horrible. I mean, I don't know. From thinking, because I'm more experienced with Fillet. Thinking from Fillet's perspective, Falconer's job is to not lose the game on turn 1 and then play a video game.
Right.
But anyway, I think Falconers have trouble with those types of matchups, and we've talked about this before, and maybe we'll do like a whole podcast on it at some point. Second Wind's fucking broken.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that seems to be like the meta lately.
It really
At
does.
least around Chicago, is that it's like, do you have a disgusting Second Wind play? You're a top tier guild.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure that Fillet makes it to top tier, but she makes it to a lot better because of Second Wind. And when it's because they said that the next guild is red, and they're doing navigators now. I'm sort of assuming that the Butcher's Guild is next. The Butcher's Minor Guild better bring some special sauce, because we're losing Second Wind.
Yeah,
yeah, that's fair.
Well, maybe you won't be able to place Fillet. Maybe it'll be all sweet Ox Tech.
Maybe. That would be, I'd be down. But...
like, all auras are +4 range.
Yeah.
So why
target model?
Why isn't Scalpel OP?
I don't know. Maybe Scalpel is OP. Maybe Pete Williamson is just right.
Pastrami lost 1 game rocking it at MuseCon.
I don't know, man. Because Scalpel has some other problems and is running a guild that's rough.
Okay.
Yeah, her playbook's just like...
Yeah. I still think she's a lot worse than if she didn't have Second Wind.
Yeah, I agree.
That's true,
That's
I
the
guess.
best part about playing her. Like, the heroic for Second Wind is so fun.
Yeah, definitely. But anyway, I think that said that Falconers can make for some really good matchups into slow teams that don't have Second Wind. Like, I really want to play them into Masons. I know they literally can access Second Wind with Decimate, but I think that actually hurts their lineup a lot.
Really?
Yeah, I think it does.
I mean, okay. I think Zach is all aboard that train.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Maybe that's right. Oh, yeah, I guess with Hammer. I don't know. I think that Hammer
Hammer...
I think Hammer is a more manageable threat because he's 3-1 and they don't have a way to stand him up.
They
do. They totally
have
do.
the same way.
Oh, fuck, they have Vet Decimated. Okay, never mind. Fuck Masons.
They have Vet Decimated Lucky. Like, they have the same two.
Okay, well, anyway. All right, so I was totally wrong.
Or not Vet Decimated.
I'm with you that they are hurting for lineup slots if they're taking Decimate and Harmony.
Yeah.
But
so I guess I would want to play that anyway. But anyway, I think they're actually pretty interesting into Engineers. I want to play that too. And then I think they have pretty solid matchups into Fish because, like, Shark... Like, they can, airmail, like, if you really commit to it, airmail makes killing the ball pretty sweet.
Dude, I would be so fucking excited if I had that on any player in Brewers.
Yeah. And then I think they would...
If I had that in Farmers, oh my god.
I think if they, like, had good terrain, they kind of dunk on Corsair, too. If it was just like, Devana's behind this thing, and you can't pull her on turn 1, then I think that you can actually play a good game into Corsair.
But don't they just, like, not put any model within 6 inches of that spot?
Well, I mean, I don't know. I think it's really good if you receive with Falconers. I think you can use the ball to, like, move back and forth and kind of, and, like, hit them and then leave and stuff.
Okay. Yeah, so I guess this hasn't really come up, and it was something that only struck me once we actually played games against Falconers. But they're very different than some of the other guilds in that they spend their turn doing setup, and there's no incentive not to use it in that turn. So, like they have the Harriers go away whether you use them or not.
Yeah.
So, like, you might as well def from above them.
Yeah.
But that's not true for a bunch of other things. Like, I don't know. It feels that way. Like, if you leave the model alive, you still get to hit it.
Yeah.
But your Harriers are going away whether you want them to or not. So you might as well use them to kill that model. Most of the time. I don't know. I had a more articulate version of this before, but I completely forgotten it.
That's okay.
I don't know what it is, but, like, there's something that feels unique about them being incentivized to just get the most out of the Harriers in that turn. And I can't quite identify what it is.
Are you sure that's not just my proclivities for, like, never giving up influence allocation? Because, like, I have a problem with that as a player. Like, I think I play games where I lose or almost lose because it's like, I have this 2 influence over here that I need to spend on something. When really I could have just been like, I'm in a winning position and this guy needs to be nowhere near the opponent, so I'm just going to stand here and eat those 2 influence. Like, I have a problem with that where I just sort of...
It's an efficiency issue.
Yeah, I'm really focused on making sure all my influence does stuff, and sometimes that gets me into trouble.
Okay.
And when I first started playing Falconer, when I read the Falconer's cards, I was like, yo, finally a guild where it's like, I'm not punished for that, because they're over here, so even if I shoot them, I'm still not in danger, but that's not really true at all.
Yeah.
Maybe Hunters might be for you now.
Maybe. Or maybe Smoke. Maybe I should just pick up Smoke like you were saying.
There you go.
That calculus.
Yeah, okay.
So,
all right. Do you guys...
anything else to say about Falconers?
No, I think we've wrapped up our Falconers decision. They look fun.
They do.
Dude, they are so fun.
And I think that's going to be the trend with the minor guilds. So it seems like the minor guilds are going to be mid to low power level. Although who knows when Season 4 is going on.
It's such a question with Season 4 because... Well, sorry, go ahead, and then I'll say something.
So they're going to be mid to low power level, but they're going to be, like, on the upper deck of, like, the most fun guilds to play. Right? Because I think rats I think rats are just, like, incredibly fun.
Yeah, okay. I agree.
Right, even though they're, like, not that strong. And Falconers look like an absolute blast. I think putting that Rube Goldberg machine together seems so fun, and then knocking all those dominoes down seems like the best of times.
Devana's activation is so satisfying.
You just take all the fun from your opponent that doesn't understand how Harriers and all this works, and then you get to have it.
It does feel like all the fun is concentrated in Devana's activation, though. Like...
I don't know. I disagree. I think that, like,
Minerva's activation seems hella fun.
Minerva's activation is good, and Rundaas is really good too. Because Rundaas is just like, because if he hits that the 2 dirty knives, it's like, woo! Everybody's taking damage. That.
The Oprah of dirty knives, and you get dirty knives, and you get dirty.
Like,
knives.
that result is 5 damage if they're under a Harrier.
Okay.
5 damage, and they lose a defense.
And they take poison.
Yeah. But what I was going to say is that it's sort of hard to tell how, like, the trend for minor guilds, because both of the minor guilds have been really squishy and gimmicky. But we don't know yet if that's just, like, a Season 4 thing.
Yeah, I guess.
Like, once Season 4 pops and we can see how the other major guilds pop out, then we'll know. Because it also looks like, from those, like, preview pictures, that Navigators are going to be really squishy, too. So is it, like... These 3 minor guilds all had squishiness in their pitch, or is it just that the game in general is going down in HP? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
makes sense.
it's just hard to tell until season 4 gets here. Because that was something that I predicted last episode, is just that like everything will become more active and points will be scored quicker. And when I said that, I meant both takeout points and goal points. And with that, I really have to take a piss. But you guys can end the podcast.
All right. Well, with that, I have a couple things to.
Okay.
Oh God.
That sounded like
All right.
death.
So I have a couple things to pitch real quick. This is also, if you wanted to see our faces when we watch this, this is also going to be on my YouTube channel, as well as an audio podcast. You can go watch it there. Vincent Curkov's the name of the channel. You can also search Run the Length or Guild Ball Gotchas. I do all those series. You should watch all of them.
They're all podcasts produced by me.
Last week, thanks, Matt. Last week I had we had Guild Ball Gotcha come out, which was about clock. You should check that out, especially if you want to be a better player on the clock. I thought it came out really well. I want to thank Pepper Palace for, while not providing the sauces, cutting me a pretty sweet deal on them. They're a local hot sauce store for us, and you can visit their online store. And I also want to thank Muson Minis for sponsoring the last video of mine, or the last run of length of mine. You can check that out at musonstore.com. And I think with that, we have been...
I have one question before we're done.
What is it?
What would it take from Vet Calculus to make Smoke playable?
To make Smoke playable?
Or to make Alchemists playable?
To make me go back to Alchemists?
Yes.
I think she just needs to be Harry the Hat.
Okay. And with that, I think we've been strictly the worst Guild Ball podcast.